So, Austin here. So three things that I found super interesting from the course material this week, the readings and the videos and the lecture, was the speed of our instincts. You know how our nervous system reacts even before our higher order thinking brain is capable of processing what happened. I found that fascinating. The strength of cortisol, like how powerful cortisol can be to the body, you know, doing things like raising your blood pressure and your heart rate. The third thing I found super interesting, and I actually want to know more about if possible, was the early warning signs for teenagers or younger people to maybe catch or assess if they're going through if they may be going through something traumatic, or if they need extra help because they've gone through something traumatic. One of the examples was their behavior and performance at school. I found that super fascinating. So Dr. Marassi had pointed out that initially our responses to certain events are actually protective mechanisms, but it's when they stay on too long that they start to become harmful. And we learned about how that was then called toxic stress. And so we learned from articles and research put out by Harvard that toxic stress caused from ACEs during the most crucial developmental years of a child's life can cause the child's brain to adapt in unhealthy ways and eventually cause problems in later adulthood. One implication that is offered for helping ensure that clients feel safe in future practices. Well, I think it's funny that it was worded like that, because safety is exactly what that child needs to make toxic stress much less likely to occur, as well as reduce the likelihood of ACEs. One implication that's offered for helping ensure that clients feel safe in future practices. Well, I found it funny that it was worded like this, because safety is exactly what that child needs. We learned from the lecture that trauma is when a child doesn't have that adequate support system, or that buffering zone. I remember that word being used. So an implication that professionals can take away from this is we need to remember the importance of cultivating a safe space for the client, as well as working to build a trusting and nurturing relationship. It's all about having the client feel as though they can open up and be safe and let their nervous system go back into rest and digest mode. That's what it's called. Actually, I only talked about one way in which the course content related to Dr. Marassi's video. So let me tell you what I had for the second one. The Canadian Institutes of Health Research have put out a video that discusses how one factor that shapes trauma is the developmental stages within which it occurs. The video also discussed how trauma caused by ACEs and toxic stress causes disruptions during brain, body, and behavioral development. And then, compared to Dr. Marassi's video, where she emphasizes that children who experience a traumatic event can actually show signs of regression, instead of moving forward or the trauma stunting the child's growth or in development, hitting those developmental milestones, they can actually regress and start to move backwards, which I found very interesting. And also, for that to happen, must happen very early in childhood. And I don't know if we're even supposed to include this or not, but why not? In the lecture, something that I screenshotted and will be looking at over and over again in the future was the diagram that provided the difference between the left and the right brain. I found that so fascinating. Thank you for listening. And I hate making these videos, they're awful, but I think I will get used to it. Thank you guys for listening.